guys, this is SA, and I'm with co-host Wren Nightingale, and we
Hello.
are the author Sesh Corner. Today, we are going to be doing a little bit more like a learning thing for like the writing experience. We're going to be going over character development and story structure today.
Yes.
So I will, I will be going over the character development section. And okay, so character arcs, transformation, which is a character arc, details the internal journey of a character from one state of being to another. The cause, this transformation is usually a result of the character facing adversity, making choices, and responding to story's events. Scope of change, the change can be emotional, psychological, spiritual, moral, or even physical, leading to a different personality or world view by the story's end. Positive arc, the character grows, learns, and becomes a better person, overcoming flaws and evolving for the better. Negative fallen arc, a character's transformation is a downfall, leading to corruption or a departure from their initial positive traits. Flat arc, the character's internal beliefs, values, and core personality remains consistent. Instead of changing internally, they act as a force that changes the world and people around them. Anti-arc, the character experiences a significant negative transformation or decline. So, diving a little bit into that, so one of my characters actually starts off as a positive arc and then turns kind of negative and fallen. If I'm explaining that right?
Yeah.
Like I'm using Sebastian. So pretty much where he starts off up here, but then as progression, he starts going down.
Right.
Do you have any examples?
And I think too with like character arcs, it goes along with I think building the villain too. So like that anti-arc could be, you have somebody who was probably seen as like top tier, like they were the nice person, and then they've had things happen which made them, it's literally creating a villain is how I see an anti-arc, and you're like watching this happen. Sometimes in stories you immediately know they're the villain, but then as the story goes on you start realizing, oh, this is how they made the villain. Like I just recently read Eris's book 1 and 2, and you find out why her shadow folk became villainized. And so I really like how stories kind of lay that out in pieces.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on to dialogue. Outer. This is the most common form of dialogue where characters engage in a verbal conversation with each other. It is typically enclosed in quotation marks and reveals character traits, drives the plot, and builds the story. Inner. Also known as internal dialogue or inner monologue. This refers to a character's unspoken thoughts and reflections within their own mind. It can be marked by italics or quotation marks or simply described by the narrator. This is definitely more common in the first point of view or third point of view limited. Indirect. In this type, a conversation is summarized rather than presented, word for word, conveying the gist of what was said. It's often used to show that a conversation took place and to provide important context without getting bogged down with blanking dialogue. So this is pretty much the narrator, if I'm reading this right. It's more like the narrator is explaining what kind of... You're doing more of the show rather than tell, I guess.
There's that, and then also how, like, a good example is in your book 1, Fool's Haven, where instead of, because I remember you were talking about how you had a whole section where she was talking to the doctor, but instead you had saying that Gracie spoke about what she had to do based off the doctor's description, basically.
Yep, and then she later, like, instead of saying up front that he gave her a prescription, she showed Sebastian when he asked, or Leon, one of them. I can't remember
Yeah.
which one it was. Monologue, a long speech delivered by one character, which can be directed at other characters or be an internal reflection as noted with inner dialogue. Subtext. This involves communication through what is not said, relying on implication and implied tension to convey meaning rather than direct words. Dialect. This refers to the distinct way a character speaks using unique vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation based on their regional or social background. I think a good example of this is Lance, a character from my book. He often uses the phrase mate when he's talking to them. I wouldn't say he's British, but the way I made his character using mate really kind of distinguishes him.
Yes.
Free indirect discourse. A blend of third-person narration and a character's inner thoughts, allowing the narrator to use the character's voice and perspective without direct quotation marks.
Yeah, and I think that part isn't used as often. I think I could be wrong.
I feel like this kind of falls. Yeah, I feel like this falls under the third limited, where it's just behind one character's point of view, but but instead of doing like the I, me, and all that, it's the actual, like, they're using the names and she and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, flaws. Minor flaw. A minor flaw is an insignificant flaw unique to your character that makes them memorable, but otherwise has no major impact on the story. Examples: a habit like nose picking and nail biting. One example. Being untidy, consistently interrupting people. My bad. I'm really bad about interrupting people.
It's okay. It's a minor flaw.
Yeah, and then there's a major flaw, noticeable mental or moral flaw that causes significant problems for your character. Affect different character roles in different ways. The hero protagonist's major flaw is often the obstacle that will make or break them. Their major flaw is usually what destroys the villain. With supporting characters, their major flaws are often the catalyst for both their positive and negative actions. Examples: gambling addiction, fear of the dark, shopaholic. So I think I want to bring up Sebastian as an example for this major flaw. The obstacle that will make or break him, pretty much.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say too much, but I feel like he's going to fall under that major flaw. Tragic and fatal flaw, also known as a
Hamartia, I think it's supposed to be pronounced.
Hamartia?
I think so. Or Hamartia.
Okay, that word. A tragic or fatal flaw left unchecked can be the ultimate downfall, obstacle of an otherwise noble, exceptional character. More tragic and fatal flaws define the core problem the hero or protagonist and must be overcome for them to complete their character arc and become fulfilled. Are usually the cause of the ultimate downfall for the villain. Are usually the cause of either the corruption or redemption or both for supporting characters. Examples: excessive personality or excessive personal loyalty, hubris, overly self-confident, or bitterness. List of character flaws in Indiana Jones. These are examples.
Yes.
Dr. Henry Walton, Indiana Jones Jr., who is largely afraid of nothing, is terrified of snakes. In The Scarlet Letter, Arthur Dimmesdale is the Puritan minister who fathered an illegitimate child with Hester Prynne and lacks the courage to take responsibility for his own mistakes. In Game of Thrones, Tyrion, how do you say that?
I think it's Tyrion.
Tyrion?
Don't hate me, guys, but I've never seen Game of Thrones, so don't worry about me.
Neither have I. So
Okay.
I don't. Tyrion is the sarcastic drunk character that adds humor and elicits sympathy when he's drinking to drown his own sorrows. There is a website you can go to that is www.novellm-software.com/character-flaws/ for more examples for shows that have character flaws.
Yes, and it's a very good list too. Like I was kind of browsing through it and I was going to put a couple here and there, but there's so many good ones that like if you're trying to write, or even if you're reading a book and you're trying to annotate that book, and you're trying to be like, okay, well, what could this character flaw be? Then you can go through that list and kind of like pinpoint what it might be. So it's a really good list to check out. All right, so moving on, I get to talk about story structure. So, a story structure chart, also known as a plot diagram or narrative arc, is a visual tool that maps out the progression of a story through stages like exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, and resolution. This plot mountain, or Freytag's pyramid, helps writers and readers understand the sequence of events, identify the central conflict, and analyze character development and narrative tension. Anyone who has been in high school and has taken any form of a writing class, or maybe an advanced English class, or even just normal English, I don't know, it depends on what state or school district you're in, you probably have seen this pyramid before. Key stages of the story structure chart, so to get into them a little bit, exposition is the beginning of the story where the setting, main characters, and initial situation are introduced. Inciting incident is a specific event that disrupts the initial situation and compels the protagonist to take action, kicking off the rising action. So this is kind of like if you have a character and then somebody important to them left, or maybe they were unalived or something. Rising action, a series of events where the main conflict intensifies, creating tension and suspense as the protagonist faces various challenges. Climax, the most intense point of the story, where the protagonist confronts the central conflict and a turning point that determines the outcome. So this is kind of where, like, your climax is where your heart is beating and you're like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen next? Falling action is the events immediately following the climax, where the consequences of the central conflict unfold, tension decreases, and pieces fall into place. Resolution, or denouement, is the story's conclusion, where the conflict is fully resolved and the outcome, whether it's success or failure, is determined. So how to use a story structure how to use a story structure chart. So there's two different ways. For writers, it's to plan your story, outline scenes, and ensure a logical flow of events and character development. It also serves as a guide for revision, helping you identify areas where the plot may be sagging or unclear. For readers, a story structure chart helps improve reading comprehension by allowing you to track the key plot points and understand how the different parts of a story connect to form a cohesive whole. So if you're reading a story and you are learning how to annotate, you can kind of be like, oh, this is the start of the story, this is where the climax is. For educators, it's a valuable tool for teaching narrative structure, allowing students to visually map the elements of a story and build literary analysis skills. So there are some other common structures, so these ones were actually very interesting for me to learn because I didn't get to learn these growing up. So there's a 3-act structure. It's widely used model that divides a story into 3 parts: the setup, the confrontation, and the resolution. Some example books that use this is Hunger Games, Harry Potter, To Kill a Mockingbird, and then there is a plethora more. So Act 1, the setup, its purpose is to introduce the story's world, main characters, and their ordinary life, kind of like the exposition. Its key elements, exposition, the initial setup that provides the necessary background information, and it also includes inciting incident, so an event that disrupts the protagonist's world and sets the story in motion. There's Act 2, which is the confrontation. It's to develop the central conflict and raise the stakes for the protagonist. So this includes the rising action, so the protagonist actively engages with the conflict, facing increasing challenges. Midpoint, a significant event that escalates the stakes, often a point of no return or a major setback. So if you have any video game players out there and you get to that save point and you're about to hit that door and it says you can't go back, That is that midpoint. Then there's the low point, a moment where the protagonist seems defeated, which ultimately motivates them to make a final push. So I feel like that low point is kind of like near the rising. It's all in that rising action. It's getting super close to that climax. Act 3 is the resolution, to bring the story to a climax and provides a conclusion. So the climax is the peak of the story's tension where the protagonist faces the main conflict head on. This is the full final battle. The resolution is the conclusion where the conflict is resolved and the protagonist's transformation is complete and the story wraps up. Now, the other part of the common character structures, there's two others. These ones aren't as advanced, I guess I could say. So there's character-driven stories. Their focus is the internal journey of the protagonist, their flaws, and other decisions. The plot is usually the events of the story are a direct result of the character's wants and needs, and the plot serves to develop the character. The theme often is messier and more complex, as the theme is explored through a character's personal struggles and internal conflicts. So you could probably see these more with like first-person books. Some example. Many literary fiction works focus on complex characters, allowing readers to connect with them emotionally through their personal experiences. An example would be like The Joy Luck Club, Where the Crawdads Sing, Pride and Prejudice, and The Catcher in the Rye. So I can see those being more like either contemporary fiction, or I could see them also being more like mental health related fiction books. And then there's 3 theme-driven stories. The focus is a central idea, message, or social commentary. The plot is the events unfold to prove or explore the story's theme, often with a clear moral lesson. Characters are often created to serve the story's message or to exist within a particular situation. And then some examples are like a futuristic or social satire is often theme-driven, exploring societal issues through its narrative, with Fargo examining the shift with innocence to violence. Some other example books would be Educated, which I personally loved, As I Lay Dying, and Slaughterhouse-Five, but there's also plenty more. So which do you choose? From those two, you could choose character-driven, which is best when you have a compelling character whose personal journey is at the forefront of your story. The plot is a mechanism for exploring their psyche. Theme-driven is best when you have a specific message or societal observation you want to convey through the story. The plot is the primary driver of the narrative to get this message across. So, for that example essay, is there any part, let's say for your books so far, that you feel maybe your books kind of fall under for story structure?
I feel like it would fall more under theme. And I say that because, one, I have multiple characters that have multiple different plot points going on.
Yeah.
So I feel like the plot is the primary driver of the narrative instead of the actual characters.
Yeah, I do see
but
that.
But this is the areas that I struggle with, like when it comes to like, there's so much to writing that it's not something you think about until it's like right in front of you. So it's like, I don't know, I just write.
Yeah. And it is one of those things too. And I think the more you write, the more that this kind of knowledge becomes more of a, I don't want to say like backseat driver. It's just kind of like learning how to ride a bicycle. Like once you know how to ride a bike, you just kind of do it. And I think the more that people write, yeah, and learn, the more that they like get comfortable. And at some point, they probably don't even realize they're doing a story structure. They just kind of go with it. But I think that this kind of stuff is great for people who are starting out and they have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah. I really do like the chart at the top where it's introduction, rise or rising action, climax, return or fall, and catastrophe. I do remember it. I don't remember it like this exact form.
Yeah.
But that is something I do remember in school. And it's something that is really, really huge to story development and structure, because you got to think, like, especially with the series, you have to keep those key points in mind because you're stretching that out between the whole series compared to a standalone where you just got to make sure you got the start, middle, climax, 3/4, end.
Yeah, the 3/4. The falling action. You get a B- essay.
Hey, I never said that I wasn't extraordinary in English. I'm gonna be real open.
You're
My
okay.
grammar, because I have a hard time comprehending the way the English, way is, that I tend to not always follow the rules, and it's not on purpose. It's because I don't know and I can't grasp the concept. So I got the ideas, I got the imagination, I can get it out. But when it comes to the whole, I got to have that help. I will admit, I cannot do it by myself. And for the help I do have, I hope they all know how, just including you. I'm very appreciative because I am very open. I suck at grammar. Grammar is not my strong suit. Getting the story out is my strong suit. Making a story is my strong suit. But when it comes to punctuation, nope. But I am learning.
Yeah,
I am learning. So I feel like I'm going to do a lot better.
Yeah, I recently learned about the grammar of M-, and that's after all the AI stuff. And I'm like, well, I know what it is now, so I may as well use it.
I didn't really know what an M- was either until my editor, Esther. She's like, this is where you can use an M-. The M- will be okay. And I'm like, huh?
What's that?
What's an M-? I don't really mess with AI. I'm like,
yeah.
There's people who use it, but that's not me. I try to do all my research on my own without illustration, story. Like, I do everything self-research. I don't use really AI for anything.
Yeah. I mean, using Grammarly, technically it's categorized as an AI program, but it's more of a...
I don't even use that anymore.
Huh?
I learned my lesson with Grammarly. Well, I tried using it, and I went a little click happy, and I made a whole lot of work for a lot of us.
And it's so funny, too, because when I was working on Falling Forward, I tried using Grammarly, and then I'd reload the document the next day, and it would, change its mind on what it edited, and I'm like, figure out what you're trying to do here, because you're not helping me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's great for, I would say use it for, maybe a school report or a presentation or something formal. But when it comes to a book,
it's a lot.
Yeah.
It really takes out that creative freedom. I do some of the suggestions are really great, but I also recently found out that Google Docs, you can have it proofread, and then it'll tell you, it'll suggest oh, if you word it like this, and then you can choose to deny it or not, kind of like Grammarly, but it's not it takes the whole sentence apart for you. It'll take just a little tiny bit of the sentence and help you kind of figure out if you want to switch it up.
I didn't know that about Google Docs. I'll have to look into that because wording is one thing that I have been working on.
Yes.
Especially with me being a huge paper writer to typing up. I'll write it one way on the paper and then I go type it up and I'm like, oh, that's not right. This is how, I need to word it this way. Or sometimes, example, not to not. What is the right way to write that?
Yeah.
I usually do the way people don't normally do it.
Right. And I think it depends,
silly
too.
Stuff like that.
So, for example, if you're trying to write, I guess, a high-class book, let's say. So, I'm going to go back into Eris's book just because it's so fresh in my mind. She her character thought and spoke very regally, but that's because she was a princess. So, you got, that you were already in that setting of, oh, she's a royal, she's a princess. Even though she didn't do princess things, you still got that grammar from that. But, if you were to get somebody who probably was growing up in the slums, well, slums, is, you know, their grammar's probably not going to be that great. And so they're not going to have a big vocabulary and everything. And I think a lot of people don't take a lot of that into account when they're reading certain books, and they're just kind of like, well, this grammar is off. And it's like, yeah, but think about the character, though. So I'm wondering if
Yeah.
it can kind of that.
What I was told when it comes to dialogue, because it's not as strict, it can be informal, there can be slang, because everyone has a different way of talking. Just because, like, me, you could technically say I have a speech impediment, kind of, because I was in speech for a lot of my grade school, because I talk to surgically removed from an accident and falling down driveways. So I mess up on a lot of my S's, my SH's and stuff. And I had picked it up a few different times from our podcasts and stuff. But, and then, like, some people may have, like, they stutter, or they talk very slang or very country and stuff. So, I mean, when it comes to that kind of dialogue, it's not, you don't want to talk like, well, this is how it should be said. Well, that's not how a normal person talks.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
So there is a little bit more freedom when it comes to dialogue.
Yes, dialogue is pretty free. Like, if you want somebody to say the most random, nonsensical thing, that's their character. You can make them the most random, nonsensical character if that's how you want them to be.
Yep.
So, but yeah, writing is pretty fun. Character development, character tropes, story structure, all of that. It's so fun to come up with, especially if you're into world building. And if you're into world building, definitely story structure. If you're into like character making, definitely character development. Dive deep into that character.
Yeah, see, I like making my own stuff up, but world building's not easy.
It's not easy. I
have learned.
Yeah.
No, it's very time consuming. With Fool's Haven, I was not as prepared as I am for book 2, 3, and 4. So there was a lot of trial and error. There was a lot of times I had to go back and fix the map and all that. So that's something you, like, definitely have yourself an outline. I know a lot of people free write, but if you're going to world build, I really, really suggest an outline of something, because going off of memory just is not it.
Yeah, and even if you're not world building, like Falling Forward, I didn't really have to do a lot of world building, but when I did probably, like, I don't remember how many edits, 7 to 9 edits in that book, and it was about the third edit that I went through, and I'm like, I need to jot notes down because I don't remember who said what, I don't remember what chapter this happened in. So an outline is really just going to help you kind of organize your thoughts and be like, okay, this person said this specific thing, so I can go back to it later. So that way it's not one of those things where people are like, wait, but what happened, back in chapter 2? What about that thing?
Yep. You gotta keep track of your plot points.
Yes. So, and I think that would be a good topic to talk about in our next Educated podcast, is kind of outlines and how outlines work and how to develop one.
Yep. I will work on that.
Yeah. So outlines, and then maybe one other topic along with that one. We'll figure that one out.
Yep.
But, I know this one's pretty short. Did we want to, like, add anything else into it, or?
We can talk a little bit about our work in progress, since we haven't discussed that.
Oh, yeah, because we did miss a little bit last week.
I am on book 2. I am no longer writing a trilogy. I am writing a quartet, as I added on a 4th book. I am a little over halfway done. I think I got, about 12, 13 chapters left to write up before I have my first completed rough draft, which I have a deadline to have done before the new year, because my goal is to have it done and do like a quick proofread of it before my beta arcs get it. As I combine my group, I don't have two separate groups. I have betas and arc as one. This one, I feel like I really worked on their character development and who they are. The last chapter.
Don't break my heart.
Everyone's gonna hate me.
Don't break my heart.
I have zoomed through this. So I was looking through my files. I technically finished first chapter and started second chapter of July 2024, but then I didn't touch anything else until February of 2025. So I'm going with February 2025 as my start date, since I literally had not done anything on it until then because I had stopped and start working on edits for Fool's Haven. I just kind of wanted to get a start. But then in February and all that, I had the actual outline done, what I wanted, where I wanted it to go, what was going to happen. So I feel like from February to now, I have like outdone myself compared to Fool's Haven. I do feel like there was 3 months there I kind of didn't try hard enough to make time. And it's starting to bite me in the ass. So August, I had gotten 4 chapters completed. Can't recall September. So far, I've gotten 5 chapters done since the start of October. I have 5 chapters listed for November and 6 listed for December to get done.
So exciting.
That's the update for my whip.
Well, I'm very excited, and you have been flying through it, like especially within the last month too. So I'm very impressed with that amount of work.
Yeah, and I can't wait to actually start from the beginning and work my way through too, because I feel like some of the chapters might be lacking just because they are shorter than what my normal word count is, although I have been working on trying to keep my word count within something reasonable, because I know in Fool's Haven I went as low as 2,200 but then as high as it's like 7,000 words. And I know on the longer chapters, because I have a lot of 4, 5, 6s, and my editor's like, oh my gosh, I like it, but this is such a long chapter. So I have been doing better trying to keep my chapter word count within a range, but also not to overdo unnecessary parts at the same time, because I know like if there's a lot of just like filler stuff that's unnecessary, not to do it. So I'm trying to do more building up in each chapter, and then there's just some chapters I can't stretch it out. It's going to have to be what it is.
Yeah.
But I cannot wait to start over from the beginning, because I think getting as far as I am now, there's going to be a lot of tweaks I'm going to do in the beginning, because it's like I've made notes along the way that I need to go back and do this or do that.
Yeah.
So I was just going to say, I can't wait to read Fool's Haven and then go to the next book and be like, man, I wrote these.
Yeah. And
right
hopefully,
now I can't really do that.
Yeah, and hopefully there's no plot holes missing at all. But I guess
No,
No.
I have
Okay.
been very on top of the plot,
Good.
marking down. I do want to state that I am working on a second edition for Fool's Haven. I plan to work on that and a standalone after I'm done with the rough draft on book 2. That way, by time Wings Haven's going to get published, Fool's Haven will have a second edition, and the hardback second edition will have a bonus chapter in it. It won't be in paperback, and it's not in the first edition. It's going to only be for the second edition hardback. just because I did just come out with the hardback. So instead of changing the cover, I'm going to add in a bonus chapter.
So exciting.
And the standalone, it has nothing to do with my series. It's going to be a dark fantasy rom-com apocalypse type based story. So I'm hoping to have that done too. That way I can push that out, because I'm looking to be involved with a lot more events next year.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So I don't remember if I've announced it on specifically the podcast, because I know you know, but I'm rewriting my whole book. Yay! So it was pointed out to me that I sound very robotic when I'm writing third person. And so I was reading and I was like, oh, I guess I am. So I went through and I added a prologue and I I edited chapter 1 to be first person. And turns out it's a lot better. So now the whole book's going to be in first person instead, on Leyland's perspective. And right now, I just started this morning chapter 9 for rewriting, so I'm about a third of the way done already. But I've been adding a lot more into it, and because now I'm first person, I'm adding a lot more of her lore, which I'm really excited about, because that means that I don't have to. I'm gonna backtrack. I think what I'm planning, as I'm doing first person, I've been thinking about it more and more, I think I might be able to drop the amount of books that I need to write. And I say that because when I was planning third person, I was like, oh, we can do this character over here, and I think that's going to be way too much. And so once book 2 gets into action, there'll be like the perspective of 3 characters, but really it'll mostly be Leyland and the main male character. We'll only get the perspective of her friend's character probably 2 times. I'm planning only 2 times. And then the rest of the books are mostly going to be Leyland's perspective and the main male character perspective. And I think I'll be able to condense the lore a little bit more now that it'll be first person. So I'm very excited.
I definitely think you did a really good job when you converted it to first. It definitely wrapped me a lot more than the third person did.
Thank you.
So I think that was the right move.
And also, it was dark fantasy, and then you helped me being like, well, this isn't really that dark. So then it was high fantasy, but now it's back to dark fantasy. Now it's very dark. So
it would still technically be like a dark high fantasy.
Oh, but it's very dark now. It's gonna have a lot of trigger warnings for anybody who is planning on reading it, just so you know.
Yep.
So all right, well, anything else that we want to add?
If you think you're gonna have to cut down books, how many are you thinking?
Ooh, so I guess I can kind of hint a little bit of the plot points of each book. I know book 2 is obviously her venturing into the realm of Athelgard, and she gets into her life there. And then that's when she gets her first, like, major encounter of, like, oh, snap, like, not everything is peachy over here. Third book, she kind of gets more into the rest of the realm of Athelgard, so she learns about, I don't have a name for it yet, but now, any Adventure Time lovers, it's the Ice Kingdom. We're just gonna kind of roll with that for now. So she kind of ventures into the Ice Kingdom. She meets the first main villain, and I'm not gonna say, but I will mention that there's a major plot point that happens that will be explained as not a major plot point. So I'm gonna leave it like that. I'm gonna make it very confusing. I had an idea for book 4, but I think I'm gonna scrap that idea because it wasn't really flowing the way I wanted it when I was doing the outline. So book 5 is instead gonna be book 4, where we get more into the main male characters, like his stuff he's going through, as well as that plot point comes back into play. And so it's going to be like 2 what would I call it? 2 catastrophes in one happening at the same time. Book 5, she has to do that hero's journey. And I think book 6, she will go back to Karthus. So I think if I plan it properly, I think my series would either have 6 or 7 books. If I do 6, they're going to be fat books. If it's 7, one of them might be fat. So we'll see, depending on how much of the story I'm putting into play.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So it's going to be a lot of work, but I've had this story in my head for so long, and I finally just need to like put it out there, but I want to put it out there properly so it makes sense for people. It might not, but we'll see. All right, guys. Well, thank you for listening to our educational portion / listening to us talk about our works in progress today. Leave a like, you can comment, subscribe or follow, depending on if you're listening to Spotify or watching on YouTube. Again, I am Wren, this is Essay, and we try to upload weekly, but sometimes if we don't upload, it's probably because we're busy. Life happens, so.
And just the other day, I'm like, why don't we take a mental health day? Because I really needed it.
Exactly.
Because sometimes life can get you down.
Yep, and it happens, so. All right, well, we'll see you guys next time.
We do have... Oh, sorry, I wanted to add something.
Yeah, go ahead.
We do have a TikTok specifically for the podcast. I can't do no lives or anything on it right now because I need at least 100 followers. And right now I'm at 19. So if you have TikTok, make sure you go to the author Sesh corner and give it a follow.
Yes, please follow there. We don't have any videos posted yet either. We should probably start posting videos there too.
I did post one.
One video.
There's one video on there.
So like it, comment, and share it, and repost it. Do whatever you can. I don't care how many times.
Yeah. Sorry for interrupting.
No, you're good.
But see you guys later.
All right. Bye-bye.